Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I am once again simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle. And I hope you remember to give me the thumbs up on Utizzle, Podge that thumbs up, and on Rumble too. And you hit the follow button on Rumble so you'll know when I go live. Same with Utizzle. So anyway, we're going to talk about what's going on with the Epstein stuff, Trump's big moves, what he's doing that's going to affect our economy, our ability to leave our future generations a legacy. We're going to throw off the chains, the shackles from the principalities that have been running things for over 1,000 years. And anyway, I got some interesting intro videos while you come in, and get a cup of coffee, sit back and enjoy. And then we'll be like butter and get on a roll.
Just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
An election year in the U.S. In normal times, an election is the moment when ordinary people can take back control of their nation's destiny. But these are not normal times. Across the globe, men and women are waking up to the alarming truth that governments no longer serve God or the people. And beloved, I'll interrupt to say myself that if President Trump gets in, it's a complete act of God. If the Democrats, if Biden is not reelected, it is a complete act of God, because every scheme and every evil is out there that he would continue to be our president, as inept and evil as he is, at least done evil things. And those that surround him and advise him and even direct him, the devil is wise. And I would not put it past them to do anything. I know that recently someone has made a motion that no one should be able to vote who cannot prove U.S. citizenship. I totally agree with that. But there are those in the Democratic Party who do not. So we are up against not just an election, but an absolute war for good against good and evil.
Storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and HE in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. I hope you all are doing well. And I hope you enjoyed those two clips at the beginning. Our little nun who was putting it out there long before President Trump had the assassination attempt made on him. So anyway, Angel, how you doing? Lucky, nice to see you. Robin, Linda, nice to see you. Andrew, Ann, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But you're home now. That's a good thing. People are offering you their thoughts and prayers. Hi, Miss Bender Sue. Nice to see you. Diane's here. Yeah, we're glad you're home. Linda says, glad you're home. No place like home. Benjamin, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, I agree, Diane. The email, the truth he put up. I was over 2 hours last night. I couldn't read the whole thing. We'll go over that. As a matter of fact, we got it condensed from Clandestine, and I'm in complete agreement. Although he could be a hothead sometimes. But we all have our foibles, right? Our foibles. Diane said. Hello, Ann. Let's see. Ann Hummer, nice to see you. Nice to see you, everybody. A Google account. Haha. Okay, folks. I hope you remember to give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. And on my thumbnail, I have a reference to migrant militias. That is a term we're going to be hearing more of. And I have a new tape of Stephen Miller where he says exactly what I was discussing last night with Miss Bass Ackwards out of California and her militant governor. And I said that they were talking secession, and that they were organizing their people to defy the federal government. So these rock throwers, stuff pops in your mind, at least in my mind. Do you remember how many times Donald Trump said, no other country would put up with an invasion like this. They would fight with sticks and stones if they had to protect their country. How many times has he said that? Well, these uprisings, these battles, skirmishes that they're organizing, it doesn't matter what they're using. A weapon is a weapon. And if what all they have on hand is rocks and they're throwing them, they're unlawful combatants. Okay? Even though Trump said, well, arrest them. I said what I would have rather heard. You pull your arm back to throw a rock and don't be surprised you get your head popped off. But anyway, it might get to that. We'll see how it goes. But Trump did say, people fight with sticks and stones if they have to. So, anyway, we're going to get into the Epstein thing. The pressure is continuing with the Epstein thing. And I didn't mean to offend anybody last night. I was talking about MAGA attacking Trump personally. And I thought, hey, that's, out of bounds. And as much as I've shown, as much as for 10 years we've seen, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. And clandestine was a little rough on people that were bashing Trump. And I said I wouldn't quite go that far, but boy, I incurred some ire, I guess. People let their emotions get ahead of them. People are emotional by nature. And I even had one person, I didn't know you could resign from Buy Me a Coffee, but I guess they did. I don't know what to make of that. It's, unbelievable. But still, I think it's 80 people or so. And, if they appreciate what I do, people appreciate what I do, they can show their appreciation and support the channel. And if they don't want to be a part of it, there's, I'm not going to have a conniption over it, and I do hope they reconsider. And I believe everybody that's, throwing verbal rocks at Trump and Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, that they, when they see the results of what is coming out, the only thing I'm worried about is it damaging the unity of the MAGA movement. But if it does, it'll be temporary. It will be temporary. But there's a pretty coordinated effort to keep it going. And if it's an effort to distract, what was the stories before the Epstein stuff came out? And for those of you who didn't see what I had on my on my screen, this was years ago. I put this on Facebook 7 years ago. And I was being called a crazy person. Nobody cares. All that stuff's conspiracy. And the liberal people on Facebook would mock me. Now it's the biggest story. The biggest story. Right when we were talking about Brennan and Comey and Obama, the auto pen, a great many things that were stoking people's curiosity. Even if the Black Cats toss this out there as a roadblock or to distract, in the long run, it's going to boomerang on them. The Epstein thing is going to boomerang on them, but we have to maintain our unity. Here's Trump, a very brief clip where he talked to Dan Bongino. And be careful who you follow, folks. A lot of people will put stuff up because they're not down with the cause, really. They want clicks. I'll never do that. I'll tell you what I think. And my whole point of doing these videos was to help people avoid undue stress and worry and fear. Whatever anybody says about me, they can't say that is not true. But worry, fear, they all bring clicks, and people that feed into it, like saying Matt Gaetz was summoned to the White House. And it turns out he wasn't. Here's Trump. He said he talked to Dan Bongino.
Oh, I think so. I did. I spoke to him today.
Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
He's a terrific guy. He's doing great. Everything's fine. And Bongino doesn't know. In fairness to Dan Bongino, he doesn't know what's going on. And it is frustrating. I was frustrated for years that nobody did anything about Epstein Island. I saw videos with the FBI on the property and heard the stories and saw the pictures. And I was very distressed. But like Bill Barr said, you want arrests, that's easy. You want scalps, that takes time. And we want scalps. So, anyway, it will play out. You know, Trump is a salesman, right, folks? Trump is a salesman. And I was a salesman for the majority of my life. I was always a salesman. In one way or another, we're all salesmen. We have to go sell ourselves in a positive light to our friends, our family, our bosses, our co-workers. What's he saying? That we all put on a face to go out and meet the many faces, right? But anyway, there's in sales training, there's a thing called a takeaway. I don't know if you all have ever heard that, but it's called the takeaway. I would have somebody, might be a hard head, you know, you might get a feel that you're going to be difficult to deal with. And you get little signs. Let's just say a car. You know, I never worked at a car dealership, but say they look at a car and you get a notion that they like it. You say, oh, you don't want that. I don't? No. You know, that might be a little more money than you want to spend. I want to show you something else in a different color. No. Well, how much is it? Oh, don't worry. No, you look, it's just, I think it's going to be more than you want to deal with. We got something better over here, though. People want what they can't have. If you try to pressure somebody, they put up resistance. You try to nudge something away from them out of their reach, they're going to reach for it. Does that make sense to you all? It's called the takeaway. For how many years did Trump say Clinton's going to have some problems, especially about that island? How many times has he been documented as working with law enforcement to get Epstein arrested? How many times have we seen people like me, people like you, but influencers talking about it and having all their channels taken down on Twitter, or now X, taken down on Facebook? We weren't allowed to put the word out. But nobody cared because we were screaming it at people and they don't want to hear. But if you whisper it and you say, this is a private conversation, then they start leaning in with their ears. Just like I said about that recording I played the other night. Trump went on rally after rally. He was on interview after interview saying, I told Putin, you've got those beautiful golden domes in Russia. I'm going to have to bomb them. I told President Xi, if you do the wrong thing, I'll bomb Beijing. All I needed them to believe me was 10%. Nobody cared. This was for 2 years he did this. But when they made it seem like it was a surreptitious recording of a private phone call where he said the exact same thing, everybody listened and had never heard him say that before. Because they want to listen to things they're not supposed to listen to. I don't know how many times I have looked into some younger eyes, some trainee, some person learning the ropes in business, and I say, listen to me. And I talk to them, and I can look in their eyes and see that behind their eyeballs, their brain is doing everything but listening to me. They're planning their lunch. They're thinking about what they're going to do to their bumper on their car or any damn thing but listening to me. But if you act like you're having a conversation with somebody that between A and B and they can see their way out of it, they don't feel there's a part of it, man, they'll flop their ear out and they'll listen then. It's something about human nature, the takeaway. So when Trump says, you're talking about Epstein, when all this stuff is going on, and he was right. It was a desecration at the site of the Texas floodings. To bring up anything else at that time, he was right then. But the overall point of him saying that he appears to be irked or chagrined at the subject brings them coming like jackrabbits. I hope that makes sense. It's called the takeaway, and I believe that's what's going on. I don't know what initiated it, but it's going to backfire. Gonna backfire. Hi, Gary. How you doing? Ha ha. Rebecca, nice to see you. Who'd I miss? Melvita. Hi, Melvita. I hope you got my message. Hi, Darla. Where you sent me a message about Frank being mean to you. I got something I could make fun of Frank, but I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. He's got a sense of humor, though. That's right. Hold on tight and get ready. Yeah. That's right. You know, and that's the thing about teaching. In my earlier salad days when I was involved in training and things of that nature, and when I was trained, I noticed that the person that was training me had very little patience and would roll their eyes if you asked a question. And I said to myself, don't do that to people. If you get in a position where you can teach people, you have to realize they don't know yet. And that's your job, is to get them to know. So have patience. But a lot of people are so used to hearing things and knowing things for so long, they don't understand why a younger person or an unfamiliar person doesn't know. And they get frustrated. And it defeat their own purpose. How can you teach somebody if you think they're stupid? Because at one point you didn't know what you're trying to teach. Jet lag, how you doing? So, a lot of people get frustrated with people that aren't awake yet. Don't get frustrated with them. Teach them. Teach them. That being said, I didn't expect to go through all that, but I want to give you a little personal insight as to somebody that approached me that I've known for many years, texted me about the Epstein thing. Because here's what's going on. Like Asmongold, here he gets a lot of views, 465,000 views in 4 hours. It's time to tell the truth, Donald. Now I got on Asmongold because I got upset with him because he didn't know what Abbey Gate was. He's putting his 2 cents in. He's welcome to do all that. He's a relatively intelligent person. He spends a lot of times on video games because that's his thing. That's his gig. And then he also goes in on politics. And for people that are out there that don't know what Abbey Gate is, that is where we lost a lot of service people in Afghanistan during that debacle of withdrawal when there was a bomber that set off a bomb at Abbey Gate. So the fact he didn't know that kind of put me on a bad foot. But anyway, so he's turning up the heat. Time to tell the truth, Donald. All the liberal ignorers of Epstein since 2007, when he was first arrested, are all hollering for it. Here you got Asmongold again. We need to know the truth. 39,000 views in 20 minutes. So the fuse is lit, is what I'm saying. And it's got to come to a resolution. And I believe Trump is doing the takeaway. So here is something I said, I ought to go ahead and read this off and show how I handle a situation. Now, this is a person I've known for, I would say, 40 to 45 years. 40 to 45 years. And they live far away from me now. We talk, a couple of times a month or so. And I don't get into all the CUE drops. And I know they don't, but they're intelligent, they're conservative, they vote for Trump. Let's see how this thread went. And you tell me, did I do a good job introducing someone to another, let's say, world that heretofore they didn't understand? Well, it started out with, why are they hiding the Epstein files? What are they hiding, the Epstein files, and why? You must know this. I said they're worthless, manipulated, and or destroyed years ago, just being used to create chaos. Now, I didn't get into real detail. It could be that we're the ones trying to bring it out, and Trump's fainting, pulling a feint move by acting like he doesn't care, just to get everybody bristled up. That very well could be. But anyway, I just gave a short answer. Why did Pam Bondi say they were on her desk and she had seen lots of disgusting videos? That's the issue. If they have any video evidence at all, they should release it and go after all of the people in the videos that weren't the victims. Trump himself said Prince Andrew was in a video. I wonder if that's why they ruined relationship with England. Hard to know, but she did a lot of damage with her statements. Well, we're not ruining our relationship with England. I can't get into all that with text messages. I just try to, go over the basics with this individual. We're resetting things to after the Revolutionary War when we won. We're not ruining a relationship. We're shedding ourselves of the influence of the crown, but that's a whole other story. I put in here, Maxwell appeal going to SCOTUS today. And then I included this. See, this individual doesn't have any clue about what's going on. And you all know who this is, who's posting this. I put James Comey's daughter inspecting the videos the deep state allowed to survive are included this. See, this individual doesn't have any clue about what's going on. And you all know who this is, who's posting this. I put James Comey's daughter inspecting missing Epstein, you know what, aside footage. Comer's daughter investigated, you know what, aside, and her husband does Ghislaine Maxwell's case. We went over this post, but this person's never been exposed to this stuff. Well, they said, oh, yeah. Wait a second. Did I say everything? Yeah. Maybe she will testify about what happened and name names. But then again, she's not the most honest person. Talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. And I put a picture of her up. We've all seen this hideous spectacle here. And the videos the deep state allowed to survive are a separate investigation. This was, and then I put another post up. And I mean it, what I'm saying. They're a separate investigation. We can talk about that in the future. But I said this was posted years ago, 2020. And I put this up. Deep state alert. James Comey's daughter, Maureen Comey's husband, is taking over for Aubrey Strauss, the U.S. Attorney for Southern District of New York, who indicted Ghislaine Maxwell. Eyes on, follow the family. I don't know how seriously the person took the post, but I'm getting them out there, right? They liked the videos of the deep state allowed to survive as a separate investigation. Such craziness, she said. I put in, don't forget James Comey. Push the fake P-tape. And just a few weeks ago, posted seashell pics saying 8647. And I isolated this picture and highlighted Epstein, you know what, aside footage, the daughter, right? You got to be redundant, repetitive, like the image. Yeah, yep, POS. And I said this was posted almost 10 years ago. I put this up. Now this one we didn't go over last night. Okay, and this has me a little concerned, but I didn't get into this text thread, but I'll talk about it now. This is the third post ever done by the 17th letter. Before they started using the letter, they just called themselves anonymous. See how? There is no signature. There's no CUE letter. I highlighted Operation Mockingbird. Priority to clean out the bad actors, to unite people behind the America First agenda. Right? Make America great again. Get people on board with tariffs. Get people who are not lawfully in the country out. America first. Many in our government worship Satan. Not about Republicans versus Democrats at this stage. So, you can see the rest of the posts. Open your eyes. It finally came out that Rod, and that's Rod Rosenstein, Bob, which is Bob Mueller, were key players in the uranium scandal. Don't you think POTUS would be tweeting about removal given clear conflict? Why did POTUS meet Bob Mueller under the cover of FBI director interview? Mueller, Bob, is unable to serve as director per the law. Gowdy comments on Comey. History will ... Devin Nunes posted an interview he did with Trey Gowdy today on Truth. I'll copy that. We can go over it. But I think it's to remind people of this stuff at the very beginning. POTUS has everything. Not everyone is corrupt. Fewer than you think. Follow Huma. And then the stuff I just read, and then it goes to, where is Hillary Rodham Clinton? Why is the National Guard called up across 12 cities? Trust in your president. God bless patriots. So, the thing I'm worried about is if this push to get the Epstein stuff out is to break us away from uniting the people behind the America First agenda, to divide MAGA, and we're not ready for it. Like I said in the past, everybody's got a plan till they get a punch in the face. And months later, maybe a year later, Trump repeated that. Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face. And I'm not. No human endeavor is perfect. And that is my concern, is that Axios stirred up this Epstein stuff and trying to get everybody split apart. But I'm still hopeful that it's part of what we want to do to put eyes on Epstein, because nobody ever cared about it till now. So my friend responded, Trump and Bondo made a huge mistake saying they'd release the files and Dems were involved, then doing an about-face and saying there is nothing. Even as if there is nothing, they should have not said there was. There have been 0 arrests and 0 prosecutions. It just makes them look bad, that's all. And I put, mistake or psyop. Nobody cared or even knew about this issue, general public, until this blow up. Now that this public, quote, drama has even the craziest blue-haired Karen down the street demanding answers to something the mainstream media refused to report on for years. And I put a laughy face because they think it will hurt Trump MAGA. And then I put this up. Remain calm, patriots are in control. And you know where I got this picture from, the CUE, right? Posts. This was 7 years ago. What's below? Nobody cared. Censored by mainstream media, Facebook, Twitter, X, all major platforms. Coordinated silence. And I put this picture up. Okay? There he is, Jeffrey Epstein, some kind of Halloween costume. It looks like Prince Andrew's uniform, doesn't it? Remember he used to wear that white uniform? And then you got Ghislaine in her masquerade or Halloween. It says, a deep, dark world being exposed. The truth won't be for everyone. Have faith in humanity. And you get highlighted in red, and you'll see more than that. So anyway, what was this? October 21st, 2020. Yeah, that was the end of the conversation. I see what you're saying. I had it clicking. I could barely... I see where you all are putting it in there, clicking or typing sound. And I told you I have a hearing issue. But I faintly heard something, but I couldn't get it quite like you all are describing. But anyway, that was a maybe an idea for you all to help people if they contact you, like my friend of over 40 years contacted me. And I gave him some seeds. You never plant trees, you plant seeds and let the seeds grow. Don't try to dig up the ground and shove a tree in the top of their head. You plant a seed. Yes, thank you, Angela. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. I'm just looking through the chats. So they were doing it to other platforms like Diamonds. Sherry said, hi, Sherry. She said she could hear it too. I don't trust them. I remember talking about who was the creator. She passed away. I was talking about her one time. She lived next to Michael Jaco. She had crunching noises coming across her video. Isn't that funny? It does that when I'm talking about Epstein and the CUE. Yeah, thank you, Debbie. It's a degenerative nerve issue, not anything I can do a lot about. And that's why it's hard for me to be a guest struggling, trying to hear what people are saying. But I'm working on that. I'm getting another aid to help me with my hearing. It's the second thing that goes when you get old. Garrett, how you doing? Nice to see you. Marie, what do you mean no more M-Man? Oh, come on. I'm still going to be around, I hope. Kristen, that's who I was talking about, who passed away. But anyway, so then I gave them a link to a video, something to think about for them. And this is Stephen Miller. He's with Mark Levin. And I told you, I've talked with Mark Levin in the past. He probably wouldn't know me from a stack of wood, but also very good friends with I was going to say cohort, but they both worked at the Justice Department under the Reagan administration. And I'm very good friends with him, and he worked with Mark Levin. He was a little more of a liberal than Mark Levin, so they kind of didn't get along. But anyway, after my discussion last night, where I was saying Karen Bass is setting things up for a conflict with the federal government, that they're actually talking secession, that they're actually talking coordinated resistance to the federal government. And then you see this interview with Mark Levin. It's very interesting. Listen to the verbiage. These are both top-of-the-line attorneys, okay? Devil's in the details with the language.
Mind everything our president wants to do. And now they've called out their violent militia, which they do from time to time, 2020 and other times. And they are trashing law enforcement yet again. They're trashing ICE. ICE is under attack like never before by the Democrat Party militia. What do you make of all this?
Well, you laid it out perfectly, Mark. Let me zoom out a little bit and provide some broader historical context. The left has been trying to shove Marxism, socialism, and communism down the throats of the American people for generations now. They ultimately were not able to do this during the Cold War because the middle class revolted against communism and Marxism and social engineering. The left shifted their tactics. The Democratic Party shifted their tactics to use migration as a weapon to break down the middle class and to gain political power and control in this country. They used migration to destroy our public education system, to destroy our healthcare system, to destroy wages and working conditions for the middle class of this country, and in effect, to destroy social and community cohesion. And then in that rubble, in that chaos, in that conflict, to then try to articulate the need for ever more government control, ever more government redistribution, ever more government power, and then to ultimately import voters to then support that agenda, to import voters who do not believe in limited government, who do not believe in the U.S. Constitution. And that is why you are seeing now this violent insurrectionist revolt by the Democrat Party against immigration and customs enforcement. You see video after video after video of Democrat shock troops in the streets hurling rocks at ICE officers and Border Patrol in their vehicles, firing projectiles at them, violently assaulting them, and yes, opening fire on them. Multiple assassination attempts against our brave and heroic ICE and Border Patrol agents, and barely a word of condemnation from the Democrat Party. In fact, the Democrat rhetoric calling our ICE officers, calling our Border Patrol Nazis and Gestapos and fascists, demanding as they do that ICE leave their communities, this nullificationist rhetoric, all of which inspires and incites these domestic terror attacks against law enforcement. So we really are at a hinge point here for the West, a fulcrum point. President Trump campaigned and won on a historic mandate to empower ICE and Border Patrol, to restore the sovereign enforcement of our laws, and to get illegal and criminal aliens out of our country. He is delivering on that mandate each and every day. And now we see violent terrorist attacks against ICE and Border Patrol to try to slow their progress. So we need all patriotic Americans to speak with one clear voice in support of ICE and Border Patrol, in support of President Trump, so that we can carry out and fulfill this mandate that Americans voted just a few months ago.
Now, they're trying to import voters, but I would rather call them Confederates. They're importing Confederates and unlawful combatants if you consider the kinetic actions they're taking, the coordinated resistance that includes violence. And I'm going to show you a video after this is over with, where he's talking about we have to stick together, we have to support ICE. That's very, very true. But you'll see what happens, okay, when you get too close to these Confederates and these unlawful combatants, these insurrectionists, and what will happen when the courts take the side of those Confederates. But anyway, let's let this continue.
Put. Now, Stephen, I've made a comparison between this movement and the old Confederacy, which is this whole idea of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, as if the Constitution doesn't give plenary authority to the federal government when it comes to immigration and so forth, specifically to the president. And so they are defying the Constitution while they're waving around the Constitution, talking about due process and free speech. Isn't this akin to that in the sense that they're trying to nullify federal immigration law?
Yes, you are witnessing a secessionist movement in real time. You are witnessing an effort to nullify and invalidate the entire structure of the U.S. Constitution. When you see violent rioters and migrant mobs attacking federal law enforcement in Los Angeles, and then you see the mayor of Los Angeles not condemning the mobs, but saying over and over again, ICE out of our city, ICE out of our city. What the mayor of Los Angeles is saying is that she believes that Los Angeles is not part of our federal union, that Los Angeles is not subject to our national laws, not subject to federal law enforcement. So it is an effort in a very real sense to overthrow our whole constitutional design. No city in this country is immune from federal law enforcement, and no city can aid and abet an invasion of this country over the will of the American people and the law enforcement officers empowered to enact the American people's will. So this really is, as you said, this is secessionist behavior, and it comes at a cost, at a massive cost to American lives. You have illegal aliens working in league with cartels and drug dealers who are poisoning our children, hundreds of thousands of Americans dead. You have the largest child trafficking movement in the history of the modern world. 500,000 minors trafficked into this country. And just in the last 24 hours, we have seen probably today another 20, 30, 40 kids that were rescued from child trafficking, and you will not hear a single word spoken by the Democrat Party thanking President Trump for rescuing these children.
Yeah, nothing. That is what's supposed to unify us is the children, and that is the worrisome point. What percentage of our population doesn't even care about the welfare of little ones? I think the patriots are rather taken aback by how badly our moral standing has crumbled for a certain part of our population. Oh, subways are flooded in New York? Yeah, hi, Kathy. How can they just give money to the migrants as aid? You heard these terms just now with Stephen Miller. Aiding and abetting, secessionists. Listen to that video again, and you will hear many key words that have legal weight. Legal weight. You all heard about that pew-pewing, okay, at a church. Excuse the picture. I can't help the thumbnail. But these videos are all over the place. This is the alleged, they say, gunman was alleged Free Palestine radical, okay? I got to watch how I say that word. See him with his dish rag around his neck? He's no longer alive, right? But people lost their lives because this type of person was running loose. JLR investigates, put his name up, Guy House in Lexington, Kentucky. We've already had an 82-year-old woman unfortunately burned alive. Lost her life. And now we have things like this going on. We had that so-called representative that was at that ICE raid. Got I call it a business card, but a contact card from a member of ICE to coordinate future visits by House representatives. He gave that card to some of these militant migrant militia members who later on accosted and assaulted that ICE officer and beat him very badly. Did you all hear about that? Is the news going to say anything about that? Speaking of the so-called news and what I said I was going to show you, listen how they portray this incident. You have these militant insurrectionists, secessionists, migrant militias disrupting, but it's a peaceful protest. And then they said 61-year-old woman, and later said 62-year-old woman said that she supported ICE. What happened during this peaceful protest? So somebody who patriotically spoke their mind that they support law enforcement.
A disturbing story in New Jersey. A peaceful protest over immigration turned frightening after a woman struck several demonstrators with her car. The incident happened this afternoon in Fairview. Video captures the moment. You can see there the driver has a verbal dispute with one protester and strikes him, then plows through a group in front of her vehicle, wounding several of them, even sending one to the hospital. Now the 61-year-old driver is facing several charges. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Sonia.
You saw that. Look at how peaceful they are. Look how peaceful they are. That is a person, a 62-year-old person alone, a female alone. These people are in the street blocking her way. Now she's facing federal charges.
Tonight, the driver, seen here plowing through a crowd of anti-ICE protesters this afternoon, is facing several violations and charges, including assault by auto resulting in injury and leaving the scene of an accident resulting in injuries. Several injured people are recovering tonight. Fairview police say 62-year-old Linda Roglin and one of the protesters got into a verbal argument. It happened to be caught on video. A worker at a pizza shop across the street started recording the protest because he says he thought it was interesting, happening right outside the window here at Fairview and Anderson Avenues. He saw the verbal confrontation between the two.
I don't know what they said, but they just say something to each other, and then he spits in her face.
He says he never expected to see that, but what happened next was even more shocking. The driver hits that protester, and then more as...
I was scared though, honestly. He said he spit in the woman's face.
For those people, because you never know, man. Like, there's something like that, you could die. Like, that's scary.
A protest organizer who was among the injured tells us she told that protester to walk away after hearing the driver tell him, "I love ICE." But the argument escalated. Witnesses in the pizza shop watched helplessly as the car took off. The guy spit at the woman, and that's not okay either, says Julio Torres. He says protesters need to avoid reckless behavior too, especially for something as sensitive as defending immigrants, who he says can't be out here taking risks. After all, there's a good chance you're on camera. But he agrees what the driver did was far more dangerous.
If somebody spits at you, you're supposed to call the cops. You're not supposed to run them over. It's just not the right thing to do.
Fairview police tell us several people were treated for non-life-threatening injuries, and the whole incident is still under investigation. No word as to whether the young man who got into it with the driver may also face charges. In Fairview, New Jersey, Sonia Rincon, Channel 7, Eyewitness.
Yes, spitting is an assault. Spitting is an assault. So he assaults her, and you see what happens. But what the bottom line is, she said she loves ICE. Her life is ruined. They'll bankrupt her. They'll probably harass her at her home. She'll probably have to move. She'll be facing, if she's treated the same way J6 people who never touched anyone, who never damaged a thing, who walked around, almost 1,000 of them, were bankrupted and imprisoned. What do you think is going to happen to this woman? Just a thought. A terrible thought, but it's reality. Meanwhile, what's this one? Oh, I already played this one. This was at the beginning of the video where they were talking about, I don't know why there's not uprisings in the street. There needs to be uprisings in the street. That was years ago. They have been pushing for this for years. And what's our consolation prize here? Now that Judge Frimpong, who I already put my 2 cents in, and I will say proudly that Andrew Branca of Law of Self-Defense concurs with me that she is an anchor baby. And hey, listen, after this is over with, after Trump gets done, there aren't going to be any new anchor babies. Okay, there never should have been anchor babies. But I tell you what, anchor babies should not be allowed to hold a constitutional office. Their loyalties are divided. People with dual citizenship should not be able to hold office because they can't uphold their oath. They can't have exclusive fidelity to the Constitution. If their parents are of another nationality, if they have a dual citizenship with another nationality, you're doing a parody of an oath. And we're seeing it with that Senator Padilla who wants all the masks off of the ICE agents after we've been watching for years and years and years these militant militias running around, destroying property, menacing people, and they're all masked up. Nobody says a damn thing about them, but he knows damn good and well that it will put them in jeopardy, okay? And Judge Frimpong saying that you can't question anybody, even if they're at a place, a work site that is traditionally where illegals go and they look like a guada flippin' Malin, okay? You can't, you're supposed to not be able to talk to them because that's not enough evidence. Before I play this video, speaking of looks, people's looks, what's this? What are you looking at right here? You can read the text and make up your own mind. ICE agents detained a man who tried to hide his identity and showed compassion by giving him a hamburger with American cheese. That is a man dressed as a little girl. But Judge Frimpong would probably say, oh, let that little girl go. You're judging somebody by their looks. Anyway, where'd my video go? All right, here we go. Here we go. So we got to rely on lucking out with situations like this to get dangerous gang members off the street. We just got to rely on luck.
Border Patrol in Metro Detroit arresting a man with a violent past in this country illegally.
So he admits to being a member of the notorious MS-13 gang, and Fox 2's Scott Wolchek says that his rap sheet includes murder.
What started out as two men arguing at a motel turned into an arrest, with one of the men admitting he was an MS-13 gang member.
Pretty wild. I've never heard of anything about any gang activity here or nothing.
But according to U.S. Border Patrol and Customs, the two men arrested at the Sterling Heights Super 8 were not in the country legally and were found to have more than 5 grams of crystal meth on them.
The drug problem around the area is just crazy and it's getting too much out of hand now.
This photo shows the MS-13 tattoo of one of the men, and border agents say he admitted to serving 20 years in a Salvadorian prison for the murder of a rival gang member.
Yeah, if he hadn't gotten in that argument with his buddy and had the cops called, we wouldn't have known anything about it. I tell you, here's a video, too, where we got lucky. And I could have pulled up, if I had more time this evening, I could have pulled up a bunch of posts from the CUE, letter CUE, where we have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of news stories and arrest records of people setting fires in California. But here's a creepo getting caught red-handed. And you'll hear him at the beginning say something about a red rum warrant. I don't know. You can hear it better than I can.
Yo, what the fuck? This dude just started the fucking fire. You started that fire.
There's a fire. Because they don't think it's that. Hey, this guy just set that fire.
It's up. You started that fire? You just came from over there. We just saw you.
You're right.
Oh.
And yeah. You have the warrant for the murder, right?
These are houses, it's friends. What the fuck? You should be hospitalized. You are going to be fined and hospitalized.
Wow, never a dull moment in LA. Now the fire is spreading and we need to get off this mountain. Oh, let me get out the way. Get out the way.
Thank you, Scotty. Yes. All right. All right. Got your help.
Well, that's great. That's great. A bunch of young people caught him, and with social media, head on a swivel, people are going to be keeping an eye out for it even more. What were they doing? They're paid to do it so Gruesome Newsom can get his federal funding for these so-called accidental fires. So I'm sure hi Pappy, how you doing? I'm sure this person, hi Dean, will be gone over with a fine-tooth comb. Hi Rain, hi Jet Lag, nice to see you. And anybody else I may have missed. So anyway, I got with Mr. T. He wants Jerome Powell out of there. He said, I hope he resigns. I got some more stuff to go over too, but I'm going to go over what Mr. T said. And, here's something I meant to post the other night. People don't realize Russia, how much things are changing for the better under Trump. Russia becomes first country to recognize Afghanistan's Taliban government. Most of you all, hi Jerry, how you doing? Most of you all know, hi Andrew, how old this conflict is. Goes back to the 1970s when Jimmy Carter boycotted the Olympics, first time in the history of the Olympics. How many years? Over 100 years? Because of Russia invading Afghanistan since 1977, and they've been at odds ever since. We're talking about a 50-year or more, 60-year conflict. And there they are. You know that has something to do with Donald Trump's influence. His guiding hand, so to speak. So, let's see. Let me see about Jerome Powell. Where in the world? Let's see, I got to get to... Oh, and speaking of head on a swivel, here's Always Be Commie put up this plague warning. There you go. Look at that picture. Got to worry about infectious disease, which was once called the Black Death. Prairie dogs and other animals can be infected with the plague. A resident from northern Arizona has died from pneumonic plague. Health officials said Friday, plague is rare to humans, with on average about 7 cases reported annually in the U.S., most of them in the western states. But what did they say? It jumped up. I must have read the article, and God, they don't have it in this, but they're putting out boogeyman stuff for people to worry about. If that is really the reason why he passed. Will we ever know? Oh, I got to check this story out right here before I go on. Look at this character right here. Tough. There he is. He's tough. Who is this little fella? I got to check this 11 Live article out. We were preparing for funeral arrangements, his parents recall, but Tough kept fighting. And today, the smallest baby ever discharged from this Georgia NICU is a wild, running, cupcake-loving miracle. There he is. Let's all pull for tough. We want tough to keep on going, right? Life is precious in all stages and conditions, no matter what the demonic crowd says, right? Anyway, we're going to get to what Trump was saying about these. Well, I guess first thing is the auto pen. I'm going to do a little bit more of a deeper dive in the auto pen. But Trump addressed it today. And this is it in a nutshell.
Look, the auto pen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of the, see that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful. But I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee you he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it.
He was talking about Lisa Monaco. Lisa Monaco tied in with Mr. Sweaty Man, Andrew Weissman. Remember those names, folks, and I think the auto pen conflict will be something that may have to be handled by a military tribunal. We shall see. Trump ending free foreign aid. Free ride is over. President Donald Trump vowed on the campaign trail to end free foreign aid, and while Democrats, lawyers, and judges are desirous to keep the waste, fraud, and abuse spigots freely flowing, Trump is hailing the rebalancing of the global order on both trade and defensive weapons. Yes, he's going to be sending, he calls it equipment over to Ukraine, but they have to pay it back. They have to pay it back. Where is that? Here it is. Here it is. He points out that the Biden auto pen crowd never even asked for them to pay back. Just throw our money away and they can keep it, right?
We're going to have a meeting with the Secretary General who's coming in tomorrow. But we basically are going to send them various pieces of very sophisticated military, and they're going to pay us 100% for them. And that's the way we want it. And we've been trying to get that again. I don't think Biden ever asked for it. We're in for about $350 billion. Europe is in for $100 billion. That's a lot of money, 100, but they should be in actually for more than us. So as we send equipment, they're going to reimburse us for that equipment. Doesn't that sound good? That's the way it should have been a long time ago. I haven't agreed on the number yet, but they're going to have some because they do need protection. But the European Union is paying for it. We're not paying anything for it, but we will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them Patriots, which they desperately need, because Putin is really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice, and then he bombs everybody in the evening. So there's a little bit of a problem there, and I don't like it.
Yeah. We'll send them Patriot missiles, but they got to pay us back. Don't forget about the rare earth deal that we have with them. And I had a video about what was going on with rare earth. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's Pennsylvania. They're opening up a mine down there. Let's see if this is it. And remember what they used to call oil. When you watch the Beverly Hillbillies, what was in the theme song to the Beverly Hillbillies? Black gold, Texas tea, and the same thing with rare earth. Trump is viewing it as what it is, a valuable natural resource that we're not going to rely on foreign countries to get. just like with oil. Black gold, Texas tea.
Chairman of the board of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, he piled on to the Trump versus Powell feud. Listen to this.
Oh, this is the report on Powell. I thought it was the rare earth video. I have to try to find that, but I can play it in another broadcast. Might as well talk about Powell, right? Because Trump said, "I hope he resigns," and they start this Fox News thing off by acting like Trump is being mean to Powell. Listen to this one guy at the beginning. He kind of makes fun of Trump's voice and stuff like this, but the guy at the end kind of sets the record straight that Powell is sitting there resisting the commander-in-chief, basically, is what he says. So I'll go ahead and play it.
By reports that Jerome Powell is considering resigning. I think this will be the right decision for America and the economy will boom, unquote. I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to. Maybe it's wishful thinking on the, I mean, you got to believe Powell's thought about it, how seriously he thinks about it. But, you know, obviously a lot of investors are going to say this is making them nervous about Fed independence. What do you think when you hear a comment like that from Pulte?
Well, I think that's probably the job of like people like Pulte and even President Trump. That's their job to commentate. I mean, that's why they have the big pulpit that they use. However, what we do know about Jerome Powell is he has two jobs. And that is three jobs. One is to not be political, two is to make sure we're fully employed, and three is to make sure we have a stable dollar. You saw the numbers today in the dollar index. The dollar looks strong in the face of tariffs. You see the jobs numbers every single month so far. They look good. They look promising. So what more are you saying? I mean, you keep saying, hey, tariffs we're waiting to see what it looks like. Well, you're basically being political that way, commentating on the policy of the commander-in-chief, saying we're not going to do something because of your policies, even though he did what Trump wants for Biden and Harris back during a campaign season. So I think that there is some politics going on there at the Fed. And I'll just say this again, you know, just real quick. Think about the job as to that 2% target. Well, Powell has been within 10% of that 2% inflation target 3 times out of the last 76 months that he's been in office.
Tim, I've got
got a question.
We've got like 10 seconds with you, but really quick. Russ Vought again coming out today. Office of Management Budget Director. He says he wants to investigate the renovation at the Federal Reserve, $2.5 billion massive cost overrun. He wants the facts. How serious do you take this?
Let's go. I mean, this is what Doge was all about. Bring it on. Let's question it. And if they need another building, maybe they can take the FBI's old building or some other building in D.C. that's empty. There's plenty of them.
Yeah, 2.5 is a lot. That would be a couple of football stadiums and nice ones with the good concourse and so forth. Anyway, thanks, Tim. Appreciate you joining us.
A lot of options. See you guys. Right. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Yeah, who's this guy think he is, in other words? Questioning Donald Trump's policies when he needs a new building and got cost overruns, can't even oversee his building that he's putting up. And Trump addresses that. Trump says, I don't need 3,000 people to tell me how to think and how to do stuff. We're taking off like a rocket. And this idiot is sitting here urinating money away on a dopey building. He doesn't say it like that, but that's the way I say it. But anyway, let me see if that's just that clip. So Jerome Powell's under a lot of heat, and he looks like a fool. But the bottom line is, they're plucking our feathers, man. The European Union is skinning us alive. They've been doing it for generations. It's coming to an end.
$1 billion rebuilding the Fed, the Federal Reserve building. And I don't know what he knows about building, but you talk about cost overrun. So he got this approved, and he started the work during the Biden administration. And he doesn't look like the kind of a guy, frankly, that wants to spend $2.5 billion. And it's very interesting because out of 71 economists, one person, me, and then one other person, I think from Wharton, got it right, and the others were all wrong in terms of the success of our country this quickly. We have no inflation. We have cash pouring in. It was me and somebody else. Then I can tell you, I don't need 5,000 people working for me behind the scenes like Jerome Powell to tell him what he should say once a month, because they got it wrong. The Fed got it wrong. I call him too late. He's always too late. Every point cost us $360 billion. Think of that. And we should be 3 points. That's almost $1 trillion. Approximately $1 trillion less we should be just with the signing of a piece of paper. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you're telling me he's going to quit. I hope he quits. I don't know that he's going to quit, but he should.
Yeah, he should quit. Get the hell out of here. And here's another clip. I believe this is him talking about Powell. Yeah. $1 trillion is what he is urinating away over to the central banks, the Federal Reserve, and giving all these other countries very, very favorable rates.
I'll tell you a little simple language. 1 year ago, our country was a dead country. We were going nowhere except down. We were the laughing stock all over the world. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're number one everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that's all they're talking about is our country. 1 year ago it was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere.
And it's only going to get hotter. More and more people are going to come on board. And this idiot, Powell, will be clapping just as much as when they were firing those 1,300 people from the State Department. And how many hundreds of millions of dollars are we going to save there getting that dead wood out, that waste? Speaking of which, another victory at the Supreme Court. Supreme Court lets Trump lay off 1,400 Education Department employees. You talk about a deep state nest of subversives. I mean, not just the subverting the government, subverting our culture, destroying our education system, turning it into a mockery where 40% of graduates can't even read. Breaking news, the Supreme Court is allowing President Donald Trump to put his plan to dismantle the Education Department back on track and go through with laying off nearly 1,400 employees. So just with the State Department and this is 3,000 people roughly. How many took buyouts? I think that's going to be surprising too. The smart ones are taking the buyouts. The smart ones. The dummies, the ones who think they're so important, are hanging on and they're just getting kicked to the curb. Here, what Trump was talking about with Jerome Powell. Breaking, Treasury Department reveals massive budget surplus. I talked about that last night. A positive of $28 billion. The month before, it was a negative, what was it, $250 billion or somewhere around there? A $300 billion or more turnaround in 1 month. And it's only going to get better. Only going to get better. Let me see some of these reports here. Let's see. Who put this up? MAGA Voice. Breaking. Donald Trump says he's looking at a bill that would eliminate all capital gains tax on home sales. This is huge. Yeah, make it against the law. Make it against the law where you can't. That's somebody's home. It's their belongings, their personal stuff. I say it over and over, up until the 16th Amendment, your personal sweat of your brow, your personal income was sacrosanct. Now, look what they've done when they get the chance to get their fingers into your stuff. They steal it, and steal it some more. Don't forget about this, folks. General Milley. Libs of TikTok put this up. Flashback. General Mark Milley said he would give China a heads up if the U.S. was planning to attack. Had secret calls with China behind Trump's back. Treason. New York Times just confirmed his preemptive pardon was approved by a White House assistant and signed by AutoPen. It's void. Charge him. I don't know if it's that cut and dry about the AutoPen. We will find out. We will find out. Oh, by the way, I was wrong about Bitcoin. I said it was going to be a fad like the pet rock. How much wronger could I get? $121,277. That's Bitcoin. If you had any Bitcoin. Yeah, that's right, Todd. Make it all go away. Yeah, that's right, Gary. He's got the absolute right to fire, and he's starting. He's starting. Boy, I bet a lot of them are wishing that he would put that offer up of early retirement. He might do it again. Hi, Mike. Yeah, they can't make change. I find that aggravating. But they haven't been taught. Sparkies. Yeah, Jed, move away from there. Hi, Roy. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you, Roy. Yeah, the Beverly Hillbillies. Those old TV shows were great. And so how long do you think Jerome Powell's going to be around? How long do you give him? A week? 2 weeks? How long, folks? By the way, this is a viewer-supported channel. I don't get any income from Utizzle because I'm not monetized, because they analyze your content more, and I won't get away with half what I do if I monetize. So I rely on people to support the channel through Buy Me a Coffee. And there's a link in the description. I have mentioned it the whole broadcast, except for thumbs ups. That helps too. And on Rumble, I also have a link in the description if anybody wants to help support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Yeah, this week was Mike and Bev. We're getting into the Mike and Bev. I appreciate it so much. And we're coming into the third week tomorrow. Third week of the month already. It's just flying by because things are so exciting. And it's going to get even more exciting. So let me see where we're at here. I've talked about the Truth and Reconciliation Act. I'm going to play a video with Tom Homan in a minute, and I'm going to ask you all your analysis of whether or not it's part of the Truth and Reconciliation Act. But before I do that, I want to put up this post from Dan Scavino. Last night I was posting about the anniversary of the assassination attempt on Trump. Dan Scavino put up 1 year ago this evening. A complete and total shock. Moments after the assassination attempt, picking up POTUS's blood-stained MAGA hat. Here he is. Here he is walking in the field, which was dropped to the ground prior to departing Butler, Pennsylvania, for the hospital. They also said they got his, oh my goodness, almost dropped. They got his jacket also. I secured it in the motorcade SUV behind his vehicle, as we rushed to the emergency room and returned it to him about 2 hours after the attempt on his life. Where that hat will end up one day, I don't know. But it will forever be a part of history. And it's in 47's possession. And there he is. That's why it's important to have men like Dan Scavino around you. And I think he's got a lot to do with entering the drops into the CUE board. And will we see a resurgence of that board? I believe we will. Donald Trump said, and what we were just talking about with Jerome Powell, how long is he going to hang on? The United States of America has been ripped off on trade and military by friend and foe alike for decades. It's come at a cost of trillions of dollars, and it is just not sustainable any longer. And it never was. Countries should sit back and say, thank you for the many years long free ride. But we know you now have to do what's right for America. We should respond by saying, thank you for understanding the situation we're in. Greatly appreciated. Yes. In other words, count your blessings, or you'd all been goose-stepping 70 years ago. Goose-stepping. And you act like you want to do that now. Oh, what do y'all make of this? I don't see why they had the need to put this out, but they did. Naftali Bennett, I don't know who. As former Israeli prime minister with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. Epstein's conduct, both criminal and the merely despicable, had nothing to do with the Mossad whatsoever to do with the Mossad or the state of Israel. Epstein never worked for the Mossad. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. They just make things up, say it with confidence, and these lies stick because it's Israel. There's a vicious wave of slander and lies against my country and my people, and we just won't take it anymore. Okay. Well, Tucker Carlson was very, he was at that conference and gave a speech. Hey, I don't agree with being too rough with Trump. I don't agree with it. But if it's to turn up the heat about getting this, because let me tell you something. All that money Epstein was handling and his lack of education, what he had was contacts. How much? I'll bet you dollars to donuts he was helping manage money to and from the Clinton Foundation. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? And we all know what the Clinton Foundation was about. Clandestine put up, we are in an information psychological war, and it's disturbing to see how easily emotions can be manipulated. All it takes is a couple of anonymously sourced rumors, a few gullible clickbait influencers, some bots to amplify the message, and the panic spreads like wildfire. And I agree with, especially about the bots. And that's one thing I could be very thankful for. I don't have a lot of bots in my chats, but I should watch it. Or they'll start coming around. What's this? Oh, this is somebody thinking they're cute. And I hope they pay a price for this. A lawful price, okay? A just and due price. Guys, please don't throw rocks and bricks at ICE vehicles, especially the ICE agents in the RMV parking lot in Lawrence, Massachusetts, parked in front of Family Dollar in 4 white unmarked Ford vans. Please, please, please don't. Some idiot named Trump Tracker tracking Donald. And you see the numbers. This is something for the FBI right here. You see the numbers there. And we all know about James Comey starting that business up. And now people are finding out, thanks to people like us, that Comey's daughter was in charge of the video during his you-know-what aside. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to bring you all down. But I started off the broadcast by saying, I think the White Hats are shocked by the degradation of the moral fiber of a certain percentage of the people in this country. Did I not say that at the beginning of the video or farther earlier in the video? That there's a segment of this population whose moral compass is broken that they weren't counting on. Here is such a person. Alia. I'm pregnant, having a scan soon to find out if it's a girl or an abortion. Do you see that on the screen? Look at the hashtag. KILL, all men. So this lunatic, this hedonite, goes on to say, I deleted my account because I kept being harassed by alt-right for my very valid beliefs. But I'm back now. Victimize me all you want. Your heart is filled with HATE and mine is filled with love. You could say that after typing that garbage at the top. I'm sorry, folks, but people like this need to be spayed. Okay? Like an alley cat. Spayed. So they don't put another human being through any suffering. You think I'm talking crazy? How about this next communication from this creature? I don't have the stomach to read all these negative comments. Here's your update. Some people have convinced me to look into raising my child as a girl, even if it is a boy, and trying to get treatment as early as 7 years old. I've been reading a lot about that. Yes, make asylums great again. And while they're in there, go ahead and spay. People in her situation need to be spayed as opposed to neutered. So what is this one now? Wall Street Apes. Chicago public schools bankrupted themselves, paying for illegal migrants. They are now laying off 1,458 employees, 432 teachers, 677 special education classroom assistants. Chicago has a $434 million budget deficit. For those not in the know, that is $750 million overspent in just one city. We've talked many times about the extent of the waste is staggering. But you know what it comes from? It comes from how people are being raised. That's why I'm so glad that the NEA is being destroyed. Here, look at that bear. What do you notice about that bear? Look at the face that bear is making. A panda. Why? I can't. Just learned about this panda that grimaces when he breaks bamboo because he had no panda teachers. and notice humans making that face every time they broke some bamboo for him. That's how life works. That's how nature works. We have to be careful with what our children are exposed to. And another reason to do just what I said with that creature. You know, a lot of people were saying that, here's a funny Babylon Bee. Bear on California state flag moves to Texas. The bear seceded from California instead of California. Whatever. I'll play that Tom Homan video tomorrow. I want to talk about this. A lot of people are saying RFK was working with the Jewish people to undermine. I forget. It was some kind of thing that was going around Twitter that. Well, here he's announcing that 35 to 40% of the companies, food manufacturers, producers, are going to end chemicals in their food, on top of 35% that already have organic stuff. So we're getting like 70 to 75% is going to be free of a lot of terrible chemicals. Now, if he was wanting to destroy humanity because of some plot made up by whatever groups, why would he be wanting to make us live longer?
I want to, since we came in about 5.5 months ago and started talking about eliminating dyes and other bad chemicals from our food, we've had this extraordinary response from the industry. And Brooke just rattled off this extraordinary inventory of national corporate food producers have all made commitments to remove food dyes from their food. And with this addition today of the dairymen and the dairy food producers, we now have about 35% of American food industry that has made commitments, and that is in addition to the 35% of the food industry that was already organic and healthy and chemical-free.
That's big, folks. That's big. Because you know what they've been putting out? Let me find it. Look what they're putting out. And God help us. Hopefully we can reverse it. Look at this. Barbie introduces first doll with type 1 diabetes. Yes, you're reading that right. No, it's not a parody. Barbie is launching its first doll type with type 1 diabetes. Mattel announced Tuesday. The doll features a continuous glucose monitor and insulin pump, two medical devices that people use carrier wear when they have type 1 diabetes, which is a chronic condition where the body doesn't make any or enough of the insulin hormone. In addition to the doll, Barbie is also introducing two more dolls of a Peloton fitness instructor, Robin Arzon in the U.S., and model Leela Moss in the UK, both of whom are type 1 diabetes advocates. We didn't have this stuff growing up, folks. We didn't have this stuff growing up, but we got it now. I didn't look and see how many people, when they thought Jerome Powell would be gone. Ha transgender Ken, oh my gosh. No. But hey, here's another good bit of news right here. Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood locations have stopped taking Medicaid. Planned Parenthood locations in Washington, D.C. and Colorado have notified prospective patients they can no longer accept Medicaid coverage for care due to the one big beautiful bill. So hopefully we've saved thousands of lives just starting. That is just the start. We've got to change hearts and minds so people will not want to do that to their own flesh and blood, that they'll love their children and want the best for their children. I got a clip here where Tom Homan had a heckler, and that's what I'm going to close out with, and how he took care of him. Said he squats to pee or something like that. Speaking of transgender Kens and hipless Barbies. But anyway, folks, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me once again. And if something big happens, I'll go live tomorrow, but probably not. If you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live, right? I hope you remember to give me a thumbs up. So you all have a great night. Enjoy this video. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Years. Pardon me?
Are you an MS-13 member? It says so.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. I got a question. No. I got a question for you. Why don't you come up here and hand me that picture? Bring it. USA! USA! All right. They got morons like this all over the country. This guy wouldn't like the surface nation. This guy ain't got the balls to be an ICE officer. He hasn't got the balls to be a Border Patrol agent. This guy lives in his mother's basement. The only thing that surprises me, you don't have purple hair and a nose ring. Get out of here, you loser. And you're such a badass, meet me off stage in 13 minutes and 50 seconds. I guarantee you, he sits down to pee. Guaranteed. So